Welcome to another episode of our patch notes breakdown. It's been a long time since we've got to do this, but I figured that with the new map, it would be a great time to discuss the facts of the new map and our opinions with the changes that the new map brings. So I'm Will Seal, as always, joined by Charity, FPS, as always. And you guys at home, if you want a quick challenge, just try to say his name right there, his last name. It's a fun challenge. I got it first time last time, which I think, if anything, attests to my skills as a linguist expert and caster.
Yes, he is
kind of a big deal.
He's very experienced with pronouncing hard last names. Just look at his. Harris.
Oh my God.
It's up there with
syllables.
Yes.
2 syllables. Although, to be honest, like, casting for PUBG for so long, with the names, they're just like, okay, so there's like 4 or 5 incorrect letters in this word. Like, I don't know. Oh wait, it takes a little bit.
Yeah, you
to
gotta look at it for a second.
And then, but until then, it's really difficult. Anyway, we will be talking about Vikendi today. So first off, just to lay up some quick facts about the map if you haven't played it before. It was released on test server, I believe, on the 9th. It's gone through a couple updates since then, but the map has obviously stayed the same from that point. It is a 6x6 snow map featuring tons of new terrain on both a small scale and a large scale. There's like things like tracks in the snow. There's snow and ice that vehicles can skid on as well. And in general, if anyone has played sort of like any Arma or Milsim games, the terrain feels a lot more like that than PUBG. Like, Erangel kind of feels a similar way, but this map, it feels very similar to the kind of like what PUBG Corp, it seems like they were going for, which was something that was in between Sandhawk and Erangel, which I think is really, really fun to play.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's honestly my favorite map so far that they've released. It still might just be because it's new, but it seems like they've taken their time with this map and really just made sure every aspect of it was what they were going for, and it's unique. It's not as if it's like my problem with Sandhawk was it's kind of copy and pasted feeling.
Yeah, everywhere's the same.
Yeah,
really.
And even with Erangel, you see a lot of the same buildings, and I mean with Vikendi, it's
unique.
So many different buildings and different layouts, and there's hardcover everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really, you're not really going to have to run through an open field unless you're trying to cross a frozen lake.
Yeah. And that's usually your fault, though.
Yeah,
like usually,
that's you putting yourself in that position.
Yeah, if you're running, that's kind of one of the reasons why I thought it felt more Milsummy than anything. Is because oftentimes in Erangel and Miramar, if you're running towards zone, then you're just kind of running straight for zone and banking on the fact that you won't get shot because no one will see you.
Yeah.
In this map, not only can you not bank on that because it's kind of that in-between size where you're easy to spot due to the shorter distances, but there's also usually routes you can take that almost always provide cover. Like, say there's like a hooked formation of like a tree line that leads into a town, but like on the right side, if you try to go the other way, it's an open field. Obviously, you can just follow the trees, get into town, like, you know, bound from cover to cover that way, and then take the fight to people that are already in town, for example. It's a really, really good system as far as map design goes. Like you were saying, there's cover literally everywhere. Whether or not that'll translate well to comp is kind of like a big question mark. You know, there is like a lot of points where there literally is cover everywhere. So it's like you can have a squad here, a squad here, a squad here, a squad. Like there's a section on the map on the northwest side where there's literally like 12 compounds, and phase 3 can easily fit all these teams in there. It's just going to be like RNG. Like, wow, I hope I don't have to leave or else I'm going to die. There are, and there's a couple of places that are kind of like that. So I think that there are going to be places where like your positioning matters a little bit too much based on luck, but there's also going to be places because there's cover everywhere where positioning doesn't matter like at all.
Much, yeah.
Which I don't know if I like that or not, because that means that like you're the early game positioning where you're moving around and trying to put yourself in a good spot. Like, well, if anywhere is a good spot, then why does it matter?
Yeah, well, I think that could play well into comp just because like now, like you mentioned with Erangel and Miramar, sometimes if you just have to run through the open field, it's like really all you have to do is bank on them not seeing you. And I don't necessarily like that aspect of play as much because it's leaving it up to fate. Whereas with Vikendi, you can kind of push from tree to tree, rock to rock, you know, use your smokes, and you don't have to bank on them not seeing you, although that could be a strategy because there are plenty of hiding spots, but at the same time, just because you have the dominant compound doesn't mean that you can't be outplayed, because it can be easier to make your way to that compound via all the hard cover.
Do you want to talk about sort of compound strength in comparison to Erangel and Miramar?
Yeah. So I personally, I mean, some places like the castle, is phenomenal.
That's a bit bigger than a compound.
Yeah, but there's phenomenal cover and different angles and like little windows you could peek through that you just wouldn't expect to be shot from. The grates, yeah, they're amazing. But some of the smaller compounds, it seems like a lot of them have like broken walls all the way around them, and which can play nice if you're wanting to play outside. You're not forced to have to play inside. But I've noticed on the inside, you don't have as much vision on going out. There's not a ton of like second story windows and stuff. In the cities, yes, but on the smaller compounds, I haven't noticed as much. And it's either you play inside and you can't get as good a vision, you have to look through the doors and stuff, or you play outside and play along the broken walls.
I've also personally noticed that compounds are very, very variable as far as their strength goes. Like, there's a couple of compounds. Like, there's one compound west across from Castle River that's like a barn, a 2-story house with a broken wall around it, and it is nuts. I've won 3 games from there in like the few days that this has been out. But there's also other compounds where like it'll be a wall that's as tall as a player, and there's no bits of it that are broken. So it's actually better for the attackers there, because you can't see over that wall. So I think that there's going to be a lot of map knowledge that comes into play for knowing which compounds are actually worth taking and which ones aren't. Of course, in comp play, compounds are partially good because of the area they control, which is kind of what we're talking about as far as the second-story buildings, the broken walls, how much vision you have. But also, the compounds will always be strong just because it makes you not to take a fight unless you get crashed.
Yeah.
So whether or not it'll be good in comp play is really, really up in the air. But our observations is that, for me at least, I have had play styles that work on an Erangel level, where I just center and I'm okay based on the strength of the compound. But also, I've centered to compounds where I'm just like, I can't do anything from here. And if someone pushes me, then it is going to be so hard to push them back. And I've lost a lot of games because the combat that I have just isn't that good. So I think that there will be locations where you have to ask yourself, what compounds are good? Is there good terrain around here? And can I put myself in a spot to do like foot transitions? Because I've done that as well. You just rotated around an entire compound, around an entire mountainside, around players that were keeping me out of the zone, got into the zone by just taking a forest or a hill or some sort of detour, and found a way to actually play the game without centering, without crashing compounds. It's really, really cool how many play styles are viable.
So 2 things I wanted to note. The lack of vehicles might make the crashing a little bit harder.
There are less spawns.
Yeah, I've seen, a handful of USs, and maybe it probably goes to say that I'm not as experienced with the vehicle spawns on Vikendi as I am the other maps. Erangel, I know them like the back of my hand. I'm starting to have the same with Miramar, but Vikendi, like, I don't know where to look. I look on the side of the roads, but I don't know where exactly on the roads they spawn. So the crashing might be a little interesting, but the compounds don't seem to give as good a vision to the surrounding areas, because on Miramar and Erangel, you kind of play leapfrog, and you take one compound and you take it based off of a few different things, but a big one is the option to scout around you and the vision that it gives. Yeah, the sightlines. And Erangel and Miramar, that's huge. You got to pick a compound that you can plan out your next rotation path and see what's taken and what's not. Vikendi, you don't get that as much, mainly because of the surrounding area. It's clogged up by trees, rocks, and like you might be able to see the next compound over, but you're probably not going to be able to see much further than that, as opposed to like Miramar, where there's hundreds of locations that you can see, a kilometer around. And so that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out in comp. And I think as soon as this drops on the new server, or the live server rather, you're going to have comp teams, especially the ones that make MPL and continue
Testing it right
Yeah, they're going to test it right away and hammer it out and go through as a team and probably mark up all the good compounds that you can scout from and hold, and which ones are priority as opposed to like last resort.
I really hope that this does make comp.
Yeah, same.
I'm not sure if it
will.
Well, it is a 6x6 map, so if we go for the normal 64-player style, then it might not work. That being said, I can see tournament formats where it's like, because we have 16 teams, that's 32 players overall. Maybe there's some sort of way where we can like split up those lobbies and create more Vikendi lobbies based off of some kind of like.
Wait for a duos event?
No, for like a squad event.
Oh, it'd be 64 players.
Yeah, or maybe less than 64 players. I'm not sure. Yeah, less than 64 players, because right now like it's a smaller map than Erangel and Miramar. unless you sped up the game in some way, which it is faster than a normal Aaron Go game right now, but unless you sped it up a little bit, then I'm not sure how much that'll do. We'll talk a bit more about the circle speed and the game speed later on. Let's go ahead and talk about some more updates that the game has had. So missions, actually, were just added today after the downtime that occurred at 1 a.m. today. And this is essentially like the season pass system turned up to 11. There is so much stuff you can do with the system. It's awesome. So there's a ton of missions that you can add. We actually see right now on the top of the screen right there. There are daily, weekly, beginner, premium, and challenge missions. And so every player can access all these missions besides premium. Premium missions you can only access if you buy the season pass. All these missions provide either an XP reward or cosmetics as rewards. And you can see the kinds of things they have. So like here's the daily, pop 50 vehicle tires, so they have expanded the kinds of things that can be missions, and also things like firing a certain bullet certain number of times, and that's kind of a little bit weird. Also weird is the driving a vehicle to a complete stop in the red zone, where it's like, all right, just kind of go off and kill yourself, maybe, potentially. But for the most part, there's a ton of missions to do, and you get some pretty dang good rewards for doing them, as well as them being split up between premium and challenge lists. That being said, the only way to access the challenge list is to complete every mission from the first week, and then you get access to these. So you got to do a lot of grinding to actually get access to these missions, which I think is okay. I think it's completely fine.
And yeah, I mean, a couple things to note is like that for one of them, I think giving an incentive to come back and play each day and try different things it just makes the game more fun, in my opinion, because like, don't get me wrong, public matches, they're fun, and I have a good time playing the game, period. But whenever you add in something like, oh, I need to try to kill 30 people with an AR, or I need to revive 5 teammates, or even win a chicken dinner in solos, especially win a chicken dinner in solos. I'm not a big solo player, but if you give me 8,000 XP to try and shoot to win a chicken dinner, I'll try a lot harder on it.
So let's real quick talk about what this XP is going for, because this is kind of why this is so hyped. The rewards are actually nuts. Yeah. Look at this. So you get the normal survivor rewards. This is the normal thing. You should get drop in supply crates. You get items that are dropped in from there. But you also get levels based on either if you have the premium pass or if you're to the normal pass. The premium pass rewards are insane. There's rewards for every level. You get awesome cosmetics. Look at that revolver, for example. It goes all the way up to level 100. So even if you weren't already grinding missions, just playing the game gives you some nutty rewards. And not only do you get rewards from playing and leveling up like this, but you also can unlock things like these vouchers, these coupons rather, which can be used as currency to purchase cosmetics and skins, and the things they have access to are actually nuts. I don't think that we'll ever have access to every cosmetic, but look at this. Look at this M249. I am buying this as soon as I get 12 coupons. I'm not sure exactly how fast it'll take to get 12 of these blue coupons, as it does appear to be 3 tiers of coupon. But if we can actually go back to that real quick, on the top right of your screen, you see there's blue, gold, and silver coupons. I would assume that goes in order from rarity. I'm not exactly sure about that.
It looks like it. I mean, because it takes 12 blues to unlock one of the top items, and then down to 10, down to 5. So I'm assuming rarity, but
it's hard to tell for
blue,
sure.
Blue, yellow, white. That's not the easiest to
it really isn't.
Tell which one's the best. I say blue would be the best, but that's because it's my favorite color. So I don't know.
I wonder if it's just a different way to unlock these different kinds of coupons. That might be it. Like yellows maybe kills, blues just completing missions, whites is something different. I'm not sure, but will probably become more clear as the way to unlock these coupons becomes more clear. But yeah, so if you were ever a grinder, if you ever like played the game for these missions, or if you have friends, like I know that my friends love completing missions, then they are going to love playing these. And honestly, you're not going to mind either, because when the Sandlock missions first came out, remember that first Sandlock season pass, there was a lot of garbage missions. Yeah. Like literally just die to the red zone, or literally like get a kill after you're dead, and things that would require you to play unoptimally to unlock them, which is garbage from a gameplay perspective. It's like, hey, go ahead and throw your game and just for XP. And it's like, well, why would I want to do that? And so far, for the most part, I haven't seen anything even close to that degree of.
I mean, the red zone one's a little.
Yeah, it's a little.
It says come to a complete stop, so it's like risk dying.
And can you just come to the
Play
edge
it
and
on
then you
the
come
edge.
back out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, the bombs don't explode on the outer 50 meters anyway.
Usually.
So, usually, yeah. Typically.
Usually.
But yeah, I like this new reward system a whole lot. I personally, I didn't get the Sandhawk Pass.
I did.
The rewards on it weren't as bad. The best one, in my opinion, was the change your name,
But now you can buy
which you now can buy.
Yeah.
It took them long enough with it. But either way, this new pass, the Vikendi Pass, I'm going to buy it because the gun skins alone make it worth it. I loved almost every single one of them. There was a couple digital ones that I'm like, eh. But then again, when you add that into Vikendi, guys, if you're running around with the new ghillie suit, the white ghillie suit that they have in game, and then if you're decked out with a white gun skin as well, you're going to be damn near impossible to spot.
I mean, what if you're decking out with that white scar skin on Vikendi that you can unlock with tickets?
I actually thought that was hilarious. As soon as I saw that they gave the scar skin, I was like, well, if only we could play the scar on Vikendi. It's okay, though.
It's been replaced with the new gun. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Next on the list, though, is the survival title system.
Yeah.
So it's a little unclear as to exactly how this works. It appears to be a ranking system that will be replacing, I believe, like the current, Grandmaster system. It's not even pretending to be MMR, I think. There's no placement matches, at least right now in test server. I played a ton of games in my experience, and I only got to Novice. So, I won a lot of those. Like, I only try hard, essentially, in pubs. So I feel like if it was a thing that tried to be MMR, I would probably be higher. So I hope that they're not trying to market this as MMR.
I don't think they are. It's mainly the biggest thing that I got from it when I was reading through was they changed the Grandmaster titles to Survivor, and I think it's fitting for the game because after all, it is a survival game. But I think especially whenever he hits SP info, it brought up a list and it was like 1 through 10 or something. You have to survive this many hours in game or this much time in game. So it's really, I think, ranking you up based on survival, and it's in giving people the incentive to stay alive. It does not take into factor kills or anything of that sort. And so, as far as my understanding, but I could see it being a good thing. Trust me, I wish that they would add it in an MMR system over it, but that's neither here nor there. As far as changing the titles, don't know how much difference it's going to be. I personally, it doesn't make a difference if I'm called Grandmaster or Survivor, but I do think it's a little more fitting for the game.
Absolutely, especially it's not pretending to be something it's not at that point. Because
exactly.
Look at games like Overwatch, and it pretty much copy-pasted Overwatch's system while having a new backbone. Like it's just a little bit dishonest, I think. Even if it wasn't intentional, it's just not quite what the game is about. And now this system does show exactly what it is about. It's surviving, it's not about anything else. So there's no real room for debate on that one, I don't think. And also at the same time, it's always good to get these because you will be getting some kinds of rewards per season based on your, based on literally your playtime, I guess, at this point with how long you survive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always down for it. And I like the rewards at the end of the season. I think that's a good addition as well. It gives people a reason to get that Survivor. You're going to get a shoot out of it, or go for Specialist, and you're going to get a full suit. Yeah, I want the jacket. But either way, like it basically gives players incentive to play the game and play it seriously, which is nice. And I think we need to see more of that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, that's it for the survival title system. Go ahead and look at endgame if you have any more questions about that. Next, we have the new vehicle, the Snowmobile, which is exactly what it sounds like. So in a lot of the snowy terrain on, Vikendi, your wheels, if you're driving on anything that isn't a road or grass, will sort of skid out and will react realistically to the slippery terrain. The Snowmobile is the only vehicle that does not react this way. In fact, it reacts worse on non-snow terrain, having a lower top speed and skidding out a little bit easier, having worse acceleration in general. It just is worse on non-snowy terrain. The vehicle itself has about a 90-ish top speed on snow, and can suit 2 players. It also does not have wheels you can blow out. What is your opinion on this vehicle, Charity?
The sound is awful. It's commonly referred to as a vacuum cleaner in game. It's not a good sound. I think they need to change that. But I mean, I guess driving a snowmobile on a frozen road might make that sound. Either way,
I wouldn't know.
I like the new vehicle. I don't know. I've had so much fun driving on the snowmobile and going throughout the map and kind of just exploring. it feels. I catch myself multiple times and be like, oh wait, I'm playing PUBG here. I need to like get off this and go hunt people and find fights, not drive around and explore the map.
Where you can just drive around and explore the map.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I've had a good time doing it, and so it's got a good feel to it as well. The turning radius on it is awful as a snowmobile.
It feels a little like a sidecar sometimes.
Yeah.
A little bit less wonky, more consistent, but still like a little bit iffy on the handling sometimes.
Yeah, I completely agree. The snowmobile overall, I think it's a good addition. It's fun. It's not as loud, which is nice. It's something you can kind of like. It's the truck on Sandhawk where you can kind of you can kind of travel around, or even the Tuksai where you can travel. Did I say that right?
Well, I call it the tuk-tuk.
The tuk-tuk, yeah, there we go.
You're right, but I think it's called the tuk-tuk.
Either way, they're quieter vehicles, and they're not super loud like a buggy or a UAZ or a Murado, where you can hear it, you know, a good 200 meters away, 300 meters away. Overall, I like the addition of it. The top, I love that they added a different top speed for the terrain that you're on.
Yeah,
as
really
as
cool.
it should. I mean, it makes it feel more lifelike. But yeah, like you said, it's like 90-ish, unless you're going downhill. I've broken 100, but going downhill. But 90-ish on flat terrain if you're in the snow, and then it's like 70 if you're not in the snow. If you're going over grass patches or on the roads. Yeah.
Last thing to note about this vehicle is that you can actually use the control in space to kind of sort of move around in midair like a bike.
Yep.
So it's already really hard to flip it, but if you're in danger of doing that anyway, then feel free to get that nose down. Make sure you don't go head over heels somehow.
You can do backflips.
Yeah. It's slower. It's about as slow as a sidecar. So if you try to do a backflip, you'll probably die.
I've done it.
You've done it?
Yeah. I can't remember the compound that has like the hill right outside of it, but I flipped it up over a house.
Nice.
So it is possible.
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken note on where that's at, so you guys can go home and try it as well. But it's definitely doable. There are certain areas that have the terrain where you have to hit snow first because you want to be going 90 something when you hit it. You don't want to hit it at 70. But it is possible.
Important to note is that the bike still exists on this map, but the sidecar does not. So I'm pretty sure, for all intents and purposes, it replaces the sidecar.
I've been seeing a lot less sidecars in PUBG.
Really?
Like a lot less. And so I'm not. I personally think they should remove them entirely for a short duration while they fix it entirely, because there's not ever been that glitchy of a vehicle in PUBG. It's hands down the glitchiest one, and it's to this day since the game released. Like it's just, I mean.
It's still hated. It's the most hated vehicle by far.
Yeah. So I don't know. I either way, I'm happy that it's not in Vikendi, and I'm happy that they kept the two-seater too. And it's a buffier looking two-seater. They added new wheels. It's not
snow wheels, I think.
Yeah, snow wheels exactly. And it looks mean. So it's fun to drive around. It's rare, as vehicles kind of are in Vikendi, and so I think that. Maybe if they up those a little. I actually like going around on foot, and it gives me a reason to explore the map. So I don't necessarily, I'm not complaining that there aren't as many vehicles, but I do think it's something that maybe they're considering increasing. Because they already did it with the ARs, and it was one of the many community complaints was the lack of ARs, the level 3 helmet world spawns, and then the lack of vehicles. Whether or not everyone agrees with it.
We'll talk more about that later, I think.
That's not.
Because I think we've got both sides of the perspective on that. We'll see how we feel. So next on the list that we have here on the less controversial topics is the new assault rifle. I think it's awesome. I am a little bit miffed that we keep replacing the SCAR in every single map.
Same.
You know, on Sandhawk it's the QBZ. Here it is the G36C assault rifle. It's really good. So essentially it's a rifle that has almost non-existent side-to-side. So all you gotta do is pull down and your shots will pretty much go around where you want them to go. 3-round magazine, 40 to cinematic, no stock attachment. It functions attachment-wise similar to a SCAR. It fills a similar role, having a lower rate of fire, lower DPS than the M4, but generally being more controllable in whatever specific way. This time having no side-to-side. So if you're ever wondering what attachment to put on, do not put the angled grip on it. It does almost nothing, and actually it hurts its steadiness, which steadiness is pretty much the in-game method in which like how good tapping is. So its tapping is really good. Like a lightweight or a vert grip with the G36C is actually like a really decent rifle, almost better than the M16, which is a pretty good good market to hit. But if you're looking for an attachment, then the Vert is easily the go-to attachment for the G3.
Yeah, I completely agree. Lightweight, not bad either, but it kind of hinders on your full auto.
Yeah, you want to be able to use the gun as a full auto gun.
And so I personally think the Vert grip is ideal for it. Overall, I love the gun. I wish that they would have added it to all the maps instead of. Yeah. I don't like these map exclusive guns nearly as much. I hardly ever play with the QBZ for that exact reason, because I don't want it to affect any of my muscle memory that I have with the countless hours of the M4 or SCAR. But the G36 feels like such a good weapon that
It's so fun. Yeah. It's so dang fun. Yep. I use it almost every time. It is going to be hard for novices to use. Like I think it has more up and down recoil than almost any other gun in the game. But as long as you can deal with that recoil, then your shots will go almost exactly where you ping it. It's such a fun gun to use. Yeah. Not sure how its hip fired is. I mean, it's an assault rifle, but we'll actually see how it looks on the shooting range here. Look at that. Some decent tapping. The reset time actually as well. Very, very, very nice on this weapon, which is one of the reasons why the lightweight and scopes in general is such a good method here. But also it couples that with some really, really good spray fire as long as you control the significant up and down kick.
Yeah. Overall, I think it's a great addition to Vikendi as well. Like I said, I wish it would be brought on all the maps, but I love that with Vikendi they came out and they're like, we're going to give you a new vehicle, we're going to give you a new gun, we're going to give you a new map.
Going to give you a new mission system.
Yeah, they literally, like, it's a new game to me at this point.
It is. It feels like that. That was my exact impression when I started playing Vikendi for the first time. Was like the terrain felt so unique that it didn't even feel like PUBG, and that was awesome. I'm really glad that we're getting there. To couple along with this as well is that we also have new parachute mechanics, which I've been going back and forth on this a lot, and this is kind of like where I think that like we're gonna be getting into like probably a little bit of opinions, a little bit of debate here as we go into our last couple of discussion topics here. But essentially, it is a little bit complex. They added some new like buttons, so holding left control will make you fly very flat. It'll let you go a great distance traveled, whereas holding shift kind of simulates looking all the way down, and it'll make you just hit your top speed almost right away. Generally, at least in my opinion, the parachuting mechanics are much similar to other VR games like Fortnite. It's simplified a lot. It is a lot more user-friendly, but it also means that like everything that we've been learning up to this point doesn't matter. Like wave dropping or wacky jacking, as some people call it, isn't a thing. All the distances, all the numbers that we know about are changed. So there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad that we have to figure out, but in general, the quality of life has increased. You get stuck on less things when you hit the ground. It is much more consistent. You can actually cut your shoot early to hit the ground faster if that's your style, and you even do like this sweet little dodge roll. The quality of life improvements from these parachute changes are overall better. But how do you feel about it, Charity?
I like the new parachute system. It's overall, I think, it's a little more user friendly once you get used to it. I mean, the first shoot that they had was user friendly in the sense that it was just easy. This one's user friendly as in like you hold shift and you're going to go straight down. If you want to go further, you can left control and you're going to float it out.
It's much more intuitive.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and overall, I just think it's, if they're cutting out the fact that I'm going to get stuck on buildings and pushed off, like, I can't tell you how many times I'd tried to land on the roof of a building, only to be pushed off the building and land at the floor. It's very frustrating. So if they're going to cut that out, then I'm more than happy to take this.
It hasn't happened to me a single time while I've been playing this. It's really, really, really interesting. So the issue that I have with it, though, and I think that this might be an issue later on, is that there's less skill to dropping. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with old parachutes, pre-Vikendi parachutes that are currently on live servers right now. I think that wave dropping is dumb and shouldn't exist. However, I appreciate the fact, kind of like crouch jumping when that used to be a thing, that there was a way for me to optimize the way that I travel. However, they removed crouch jumping, they replaced it with vaulting, and this new system doesn't have wave dropping.
Are you sure that the wave dropping isn't on a thing still? Because it's made it easier to wave drop. You literally it seems as if you point at the direction you want to go, and then you press shift to get down to 200, let go of shift, you're going to float back up to that right speed, and you're going to stretch out further, then hold shift again. It seems like as if they've made wave dropping easier for me.
So your horizontal, like across the map movement is faster in general. So I don't know how the speeds transfer over, but I wouldn't be surprised to either see number one, wave dropping not be as valuable as because like you just travel faster when you're at your lowest speed possible. And number two, with new mechanics and like new physics, I'm not even sure if it exists anymore. Like it's really, really hard to test because of how quickly your speed moves between or how quickly you move between speeds now. Like if you go from like your slowest speed possible to your fastest speed possible, it takes about 2 seconds to get there. Whereas before, in previous parachutes, it took about 10.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it even exists right now.
Okay. Be something to test.
Yeah, definitely something to test. A lot of new things to test in new parachutes.
Lots of, yeah, exactly. Like, because like you said, there was something to be said about the fact that people optimized the chute. And you had to drop out at a certain distance away from your target.
800 meters wave drop.
Yeah, you had to go down to a certain speed, go back up to a certain speed, go down to a certain speed, rinse and repeat. But it was optimized, and you can make it down as fast as possible. And now it's kind of anyone's game to where, like, you know, which method is best. And I'm sure there's people at home hardcore testing it right now. And so soon enough, I think we'll know. But for now, I'm just having fun dropping with the new shoots. It feels more realistic, in my opinion.
Feels more realistic. I'm gonna miss not having a head start above everyone just because I know wave dropping and other people don't.
Well, everyone knows wave dropping at this point.
Yeah, a lot of people, but not everyone. Not quite everyone. The people I need to worry about know how to do wave dropping. But yeah, right now I just go all the way horizontal. Then when I'm 100 meters away from where I want to go, I just look all the way down.
Yeah.
That's what I do right now. If you want to read more about this and you want to like, see how it works, then there is a post at forums.playbattlegrounds.com from Hawkins. Yeah, check out that. The link on the top left of your screen. That'll be. That includes all the new keybinds and mechanics you'll need to learn about. And also, once you get in game, it'll be pretty intuitive once you know the controls.
And if you're not sure who Hawkins is, he is a PUBG developer. So if there was to be a person that you'd want to get information from, it's this guy. He helps develop the game. So would be definitely someone that I would go check out a post from.
Yeah. Official post right there. Okay, so last and by far the most controversial topic on this list was the circle settings and the loot settings. So circle settings first. The first phase, it happens. I don't even know the specific numbers, but it happens kind of similar to Erangel timing and pacing. But the circle is slightly smaller than Sandhawk and Erangel circles, I think. But the circle difference from phase 1 to 2 is very, very minuscule. So what that does, in my opinion, is like in the first circle, it gives people time to loot where they dropped and then come in. But they said they still don't have enough loot in phase 1 and 2. They can loot on the edge and then decide what they want to do from that point. There's nothing that much to say about it on its own, but I do think that it comes into play a lot for the loot settings. If you want to talk more about it, though.
I mean, I think it kind of makes a dull mid-game, personally. Every single game that I'm playing, it seems like I have action at the start, and then a very dead mid-game, and then a lot of action at the end. And there's a lot more people staying alive towards the end of the game. Whereas, like, Erangel and Miramar and Sandhog, it's like first circle hits, there's probably like 70%, 60% of the lobby dead. And with Vikendi, I'm noticing it's still like 50%. Or
I'm not noticing that at all, man.
No, are you having a lot of deaths, or?
I'm having a lot of people die, and I actually think it's because of the new loot settings. So it
could be the new loot settings.
There's been 2 versions of Vikendi loot that has been used. There was the loot that was around since, I believe it was around since 12.9, and like, it was only around for like the first 1 or 2 days of Vikendi, which was there's SMGs and shotguns everywhere, and then anything to dealing with range was really hard to find. So ARs were hard to find. I didn't know DMRs existed a few games in. I saw one in the kill feed, and I was like, holy crap, there's an SKS that exists here.
Yeah, right.
And SRs were hard to find. Meanwhile, there's attachments for DMRs and SKS or in SRs everywhere. And AR attachments were also likewise very, very hard to find. So I believe the intent behind that was to reward winning very, very high value locations like towns And also, I think that it makes a lot of sense to be giving so much time to loot in the first 2 circles, with it being so hard to find enough kit. I could talk about more about this, but like, do you have any more thoughts about old loot before we talk about new loot?
So, there's a couple. I was a love-hate relationship on the old loot. I like the new style as far as like it's something different. It forced you to play SMGs into the late game more often than not, in my experience. Unless you killed someone and you got all the AR ammo you needed, etc. But it was really as if I had ran the UMP more times into the late game on Vikendi than I think I ever have in PUBG.
Yeah, a lot of vectors for me.
Yeah, vectors, Uzis, any type of SMG I was using. And so I kind of like that aspect of it. But it also felt extremely annoying to try to take those cities from people and then luck out on RNG, get one of the 10 ARs that's in the city, and then go on a rampage because everyone else is running around with an Uzi, Tommy gun.
Those are the 2 most common SMGs. They still are with the new loot settings.
Yeah, it was still just a little bit of a frustration, but I did like the feel of having to loot. It felt more somewhat along the lines of DayZ, even. It
felt more like a survival game.
Yeah, it felt more like a survival game, exactly. And that was cool. But overall, I still think that I think there might be too much ARs now. I think they kind of went overboard with having the loot settings turned up, and they're like, you know what, we hear you, because beforehand, the amount of times I heard someone say, oh, I really hope they do with Vikendi what they did to Sandhawk, where like every building's and I was like, Sandhawk is a little overboard. Don't get me wrong, Sandhawk's fun, but like landing down and only looting up one compound and then fighting, it leads to a ton of deaths early, and it's fine for a smaller map because it's going to be straight action. But I think that on Vikendi, if they maybe had the loot settings of like Erangel, or maybe even a little less than Erangel, but I think they went a little overboard on both sides. Like
I'm glad that you feel that way.
Yeah, the first loot settings, maybe a little too much SMG and not enough AR. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that they should have just turned it up to max.
It's what it feels like they did right now. Actually, let's go ahead. We haven't actually discussed what new loot feels like. We've just old loot having a lot of SMGs, a lot of shotguns, not many ARs, not many range. You have to really reward yourself and fight for that. New loot has, I don't know what the math is, but it felt like if there was like a slider and old loot was here and new loot was here, just like slap it all the way down for ARs. There's tons of them. I have found myself, and actually there's tons of everything essentially that you need to fight. 3Xs and belows are very easy to find. There are tons of AR spawns, enough that I looted a single compound, walked away with 200 7.62 rounds, as well as a G3 that was fully kitted with 100 rounds on that one, and that was a 6-building compound. There's tons of armor on the map. Decent amount of smoke. Essentially, they slightly reduced the SMG spawns. They turned the AR spawns up a hell of a lot. Removed a little bit of the SR attachments, but still made them about as common as the first time. Removed a little bit of the smoke grenades that they put all over the map, and removed a decent chunk of meds, which were all over the map in the first iteration. So essentially, it almost feels exactly like Sandhawk, if I'm being completely honest.
I like the new loot settings as far as like the meds, and I still think that they turned it up. I agree with like they slapped it on one side. I think that I don't like that it's still following like the same AR meta where it's like you rock double ARs and you're fine, or like DMR and an AR, or it's like AR is king. I would like to see them up the bolt actions, because I think Vikendi is like a perfect map for bolt actions. And up the SMGs to where like those are the 2 most common.
You have more
things
niche weapons.
Exactly, and it would kind of create a new meta. Whereas like the ARs, they're less common, more of a luxury if you have them, but you still have like a long range and a close range. Because that was my main complaint about the SMG being heavy, was like, if you have one type of thing to compete with long range, then I'm fine with. But the fact that like it was all SMG, anything over 100 meters, and you're really SOL if the other person has found the lucky DMR spawn or the lucky AR spawn. But now it's like everyone finds the AR spawns, and I still haven't noticed as much DMR.
It's so normalized.
I struggle to find SKSs. I don't see them in the kill feed all that much.
I find more SLRs than anything.
I find a ton of, yeah, right? Like, I find a ton of SLRs. I love the SKS. I love the SLR, don't get me wrong. Like, SLR is one of the best. Yeah, one of the best, if not the best gun in the game. But either way, it's like I find tons of that gun, but I don't find my SKS or Mini nearly as much, which I think it'd be cool to have that. But at the same time, like, I think that they need to find a nice happy medium.
Yeah.
And they're not there yet.
So, of the two loot settings, the new loot settings, in my opinion, don't make sense. So the initial circles that were made, that we still have today, were made with old loot settings in mind. So essentially the flow of the game was supposed to be you drop wherever you want to drop, be it cities, whatever name locations that you want, scavenging in compounds, and if you dropped in a city or another high loot location, then you'd be rewarded for because you either had to fight for your loot or you had to go through like a logistical nightmare and be like, okay, so you guys loot this area, we'll loot this area, we'll meet up around here. If we get a car, that gets even great. We even get to speed up our looting, and you would have some pretty dang significant rewards from actually setting up a good looting path in your first circle. And if you got it done fast enough, then you were one of the only people who could actually, when the first or second circle popped, you're actually in a great position to potentially center up the circle too. Right now, though, in current loot settings, people have nothing to do in Circle 2. Yeah. So the circle doesn't shift at all. For me, almost every single time when Circle 2 pops, there is about 40 people alive. And when Circle 2 is over, which is a very, very small shift in terrain, there's like 25 people alive on average. What happened to me about 3 games in a row yesterday while I was playing these loot settings is I dropped in an area that happened to be around center circle. I would loot whatever name location I had dropped in, go for compounds, like, kind of run it shooting. And then a squad would show up and we'd fight them, and then another squad would show up and we'd fight them, and then be 3 more squads that I heard that are right next to me. Almost everyone in the second circle right now with loot and how fast or how little time you need to spend looting is just running at gunshots, because there's literally nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Whereas when the SMG's spawn settings were up so high and ARs were lower, more players had to spend more time to find more gear to feel confident taking these fights. It also had the benefit, in my opinion, of whenever you took a fight and you found ARs and you found their ammo, like, oh my god, you now have like 90 more 5.5 bullets. Your 4th squad member who had only had a UMP and Uzi, he gets a rifle now. He can actually function at range now, and there's actually tons of huge benefits for taking those early fights, taking early game risks that would actually pay off hugely in the middle and the end game. Right now, though, people literally have nothing to do in the transition from the early game to the mid game, to the point where they're just finding anything they can do to have fun. Don't get me wrong, when I had like a 10-minute fight yesterday, and it was insane. It was so fun, but it was also just me killing a bunch of brainless guys who were running at gunshots because they had literally nothing else to do. Yeah. And I think that at that point, it's like, okay, so are you going to make the game a survival game where you're trying to give people benefits to staying alive as long as you can and actually caring about their position? Or are you going to try to make the game like a TDM game and just try to give people as much loot as they can to fight right away? Because if you do that, then you're just going to incentivize them to fight right away even faster. Mm-hmm. And I do think that with new loot settings and with the map design and with the circle settings, the current loot settings and how many ARs and how much range we are given just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to be able to loot this quickly on a map like this, in my opinion.
Okay. I can see. I think it has a lot to do with the circle settings as well. The second circle being basically what a first circle should be, in my opinion. It kind of leads to that dull mid game, but you are onto something with the fact that they give out so much loot that it gives players like there's no mid game for them except for chasing gunshots. I'm one of the players that does that regardless.
I have to.
Yeah, I mean, I will literally, I'll run at you with a VSS and be happy.
I mean, that's like your normal MO, isn't it?
Yeah, right? There's nothing changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that overall, I was one of the ones, I wanted higher AR spawns. I didn't want to have to loot for 15 minutes to get 90 rounds on a 5.5 gun or something, or even get a 5.5 gun.
That was actually realistic. Like that, yeah. That's normal on old loot spawns.
I think they should have upped it a little bit, but I don't think that they should have went as far as they did. And you know, it kind of goes to say I might not ever be happy with their loot settings.
Yeah, we're comp players.
Yeah, right.
You're a comp player. I have comp experience.
I will always have something to complain about. But
yeah.
speaking of which, the level 3 helmet spawns kind of goes with the loot settings as well.
I have no idea how that's still in the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that when they took it out and added it to crates only. It gave a huge incentive to go for crates. The biggest incentive, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, crate guns, they're amazing. They add a little bit more depth to the game, and it makes it to where you can, the especially, or the MK14 or the M249 even, they're phenomenal guns. But at the same time, being one of the maybe like 5 players on the map that has a level 3 helmet come in-game, or like maybe one of the only ones with a level 3 helmet, it's huge.
I mean, dude, even early game. Like, I remember looting recently. I looted like a really small compound, or a really small town, won it, but only walked away with a 2x G3. So I'm running around and I see this guy with like a level 3 helmet and a 4x car, and I'm just like,
what you gonna do? Right.
And that's kind of like a problem that we had earlier with, you know, AR spawns being as rare as they were. But right now it's like, well, we still have a problem with people finding like the extra like high level loot. But in this case, it's like only level 3 helmets. Everyone's gonna have everything else they want, but do you have a level 3 helmet? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then you have a huge advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, it's absolutely a massive nerf to bolt actions, because AUMs don't spawn in the world, so it's like you got to get them from a crate, and yet the AUM is going to destroy. Is the only thing that can take out a level 3 helmet in one shot for bolt action. So it's like you got a K98, but you got people with level 3 helmets running around. It's like
you're forgetting something. Charity's forgetting the crossbow exists in this video game, I think.
The crossbow, though, no way it takes out level 3 helmets.
It does. It not only does it
really,
it does more damage than the AUM. Not only does it take out a helmet, the player in one shot, but it also kills the helmet in one shot.
Wow, you learn something new every day, chat. That's actually extremely surprising to me and very unrealistic. I feel like that level 3 helmet.
Dude, crossbows are pretty nuts in real life. Like,
yeah, but over a bullet that is shot out of it.
Almost 50 cal.
Yeah, like no way a 50. No way, dude. I could be wrong. I've never actually even shot a crossbow in real life. Believe it or not, I know I look like I would go out shooting crossbows every weekend, right? But either way,
you do have a medieval air about you, I
right.
suppose. You know, that medieval Boston crossbow club.
Yeah,
Charity is obviously
very obscure.
Charity crossbow club, Triple C.
Yeah. But either way, wow, I'm shocked that it takes off a level 3 helmet. Either way, I don't think they should be world spawns, and I think that's a big. That's a common one. I feel like a lot of people feel that way, and just the level 3 helmet world spawn being such a big nerf to bolt actions, it's
like even if you find one, it's just like great, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe up the damage of the bolt actions. I don't know. I think if they did that, then the level 3 world spawn I wouldn't have a problem with.
I mean, if they do that, if they increase DMRs as well, because I freaking hate bolts. So like if everyone has one and I don't have one, then well, I don't want to use it, but I also hate that I'm fighting against them. But just give me some DMRs and I'll be happy. I agree with the idea of going a little bit back toward if the spectrum's here and we're right here and loot started here, I'd prefer to be like a little bit closer to this side than like closer to the middle. I really like the survival aspect and looting properly, and it's like the frickin' like what's the word for it, like when like you open a treasure chest and like the euphoria or something. I don't know.
Decent word for it, yeah.
I loved the euphoria I felt when I'm going into like the mid game of the old loot settings. I'm just like, bro, I got 3x M16 and 300 rounds. I'm feeling it. That actually felt good. And actually, when I found like DMR, it's like, oh my god, I have a DMR. This is nuts. I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna kick the crap out of people this game. It's gonna be so fun. It's only because I looted forever. Or because I killed someone. And like, there's definitely some good things and some bad things about that. You know, looting, a lot of people just don't find that fun. But it's all about the pacing of the game. And this is actually a concept that is called time economy when it comes to Battle Royale games. Like, how much time do you want your players to be spending looting compared to other things like fighting and positioning? And right at the beginning, it was all the way on one side of the spectrum where they wanted to spend a good time looting. And like as you go closer and closer to the end game, like more and more fighting. And BR games are supposed to be like that. Right now, the fighting happens in chunks. At the very beginning, when people have nothing to do, and almost none in the middle, and at the very end when people are forced to fight again.
Yeah.
Right now, like the middle 15 minutes, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. And I completely agree with that. I wish they would dial it back a little bit because the more you talk about it, the more I like the old loot settings just because like it was different.
Oh yeah, that was one of the huge factors why it felt like a new game.
Yep. And it just fit well with the map as well. But the circle settings, I'm sticking to my guns. I did not like Circle 2.
It's a little silly.
Yeah, it's what Circle 1 should be in my opinion. But either way, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I think maybe they should have made it a little bit smaller and really started to force the people in. Because if it takes that long to loot up, then I don't know. But with the old loot settings, it sometimes did.
And that's my last point here, I think, before we start taking questions from you guys, is that the current loot settings do not align with the current circle settings. It just doesn't make sense. With how much loot we have, the circle should close faster. But if the circle closes any faster, then we have Sandhawk V2. So I do think that there is a necessity to decrease loot spawns if we want to keep these circle settings. If we want to keep these loot settings, then we need different circles. I don't know exactly what the solution to that should be. Faster in some way, something to de-incentivize fighting in the early game, and something to incentivize spreading that fighting out more into the mid game. Once again, I don't know what exactly those numbers would be. I don't know what that would look like, but I do think it needs to happen. That being said, we're like 4 days into test server, so
Right.
I'm not sitting here being like, get your pitchforks, we need to like raid PUBG Corp's house or whatever. PlayerUnknown, where is he? But I am saying that is my perspective as someone who has played Vikendi almost literally nonstop.
Yeah.
My house, there was a fire alarm that was going off in my apartment, and I was just like, no, hold on, let me just play a little bit further. I'd be like pried away from the computer by my coworkers. That happened.
I'm running through snow, so I can't catch on fire.
You shovel
right?
snow on it.
Yeah. But I love the new map, and so I'm ready to get the pitchforks if need be to make sure it's seen through to the way I want it. But I don't know if I'll ever be super happy with what they do.
I could definitely be a little bit more happy if they find it more towards the middle ground right now.
Yeah.
Or change circles. But honestly, though, I really do enjoy just finding new settings.
Yep.
It's really fun to enjoy new settings, especially when coupled with new maps. That was part of the magic of Vikendi when it initially came out. And it is still part of it, is just experiencing this whole new way to play the game.
I mean, my favorite game of PUBG happened on Vikendi, and it was, I think...
Your favorite?
Yeah, like hands down. And it was an in-game circle in Castle, and we had to storm the castle. And it just felt so amazing, having to push across the bridge as we're getting shot at and hiding behind like boxes. And this is on the old loot settings, and like my vest got taken off, my helmet got taken off, and I had to keep healing and then jump over the wall and like storm in, try to find something really quick as far as a helmet vest, and it was the most fun. And I mean, there was like 3 teams inside Castle, all shooting from the windows, and then there was teams outside that are trying to push in behind us. So it felt so good.
Dude, if I can say one more thing, if we're going to talk about the map a little bit more, I have a lot of good stuff to say about Vikendi, because there is something that Vikendi does so well compared to Miramar and Erangel, actually. So one of the biggest problems with Miramar is that all the cool spots, just set pieces, are all on the edge of the map. You got the big old wall on the north side. You got Campo Militar, which some people probably haven't even dropped to. You have Prison all the way on the
Prison's
other edge.
never played, and that's like one of the coolest places to live.
Yeah, Minas is actually pretty cool as well as far as like a tactical fighting standpoint, but it's all on the edge. There will almost never be a circle that ends there. Zarki on Erangel, and an insanely fun place to fight. There's so many like little ridges in that field. There's like great mountains. The Zarki itself as a town is insane to fight in.
Zarki Field is like, or North George Field is like the best field in the game to fight in, like hands down. It's the only field that I like having circles end in.
And like, there's almost no situation, like especially you have cars, where you're screwed in that kind of zone.
Yeah.
It's so fun to cast. It's fun to play in, apparently as well. And a lot of Vikendi feels like that. Like, talk about Vikendi's map a little bit. Castle is almost dead center. So there's actually going to be like a good chunk of games where Castle's going to be in for a long time, and it actually becomes this really interesting set piece where All right, if there's a team in castle and the circle ends castle, then you gotta push into castle. But if the circle doesn't end castle, then you gotta push away from castle, which is actually one of the reasons why, if we want to bring it all the way back around to circle settings again, it's one of the reasons why I'm a little disappointed right now that nothing happened in the mid game, because positioning is so fun, and just the problems that arise when you realize you're like, oh crap, I'm not in the right place right now, and having to deal with that problem is so fun when it comes to phase 3 and 4. It doesn't exist right now. But to go a little bit away from that and talk a little bit more about the map design for Vikendi, I greatly appreciate that there's so much interesting terrain near center zone, because all that terrain is constantly played.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally every single place in that. Like, I mean, you have another castle, I think it's on the west side of the city, or of Vikendi, and it's literally a town with a castle.
Oh yeah,
up
the
on
villa, yeah.
And so it's like, even on the extremities of the map, there's amazing set pieces to play, and it doesn't matter where you land, it's something unique.
There's the winery,
like cement factory, the winery.
There's
the winery's
like
the winery's my favorite place to land.
Yeah, it's actually really fun.
It's got amazing loot. The whole map, in my opinion, just feels so World War II-ish.
So that's why it feels so armored to me.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah. But either way, I can't say enough good things about the way they designed the map. It's like they took so much time and effort into making everything unique, and it wasn't like copy pasta all over the map. I mean, you got Dino Park. If you haven't been to the top of the volcano
don't make me go to Dino Park again. I always have good games when I go there, but it's because I'm just fighting tooth and nail with everything I've got to not die. It's dropping Dino Park is saying I'm playing on hard mode this game, or you just don't care, and whatever happens, happens. To talk about one more thing about the map design before we, I think, begin taking some questions, is I love how the cities feel like real cities.
Yeah.
Like
somewhere you might actually live.
Yeah, like all the buildings are like scrunched close together. It's not like Yasnaya or Los Leones
South
or
George,
anywhere where it's just like, okay, so there's gonna be space between this building and space between this building and space between this building, and then they just like, it feels like they just like have the selection of buildings on like the tool where they just like drag and drop and drag and drop. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like they actually got like civic planners making these cities. It feels that realistic to fight in. And every city is so different. Like there's this one city where it's so condensed that you can almost always hear and chase down footsteps and find people that way. But there's other cities that are like much more stretched out, where you need to, it's kind of like a little more basic. You like listen for gunshots and kind of like react to that accordingly. Every single city is a different experience.
Yep.
It's so fun. And I don't like hot dropping. It is so fun to hot drop on Vikendi. It is so fun. With old loot and
where do you hot drop though? I've been trying to find these places, Seal. Give me some secrets here, man.
Well, I don't go castle and villa. Those are much more like normal hot drops. The mountain in the center as well. If you're looking for like basic hot drops where it's just like fight for a gun and probably not find one and die, kind of like Erangel and sometimes Miramar like Hacienda, then castle, villa, and the mountain are your places to go.
Mountain, okay.
Besides that, literally anywhere else is like good to drop in, and it actually will be fun. Because there are so many good locations, they're almost never gonna have a spot where like 40 people drop in the same spot.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've noticed, because I've been trying to find the hot drops, because I just want to kill people whenever I land. Like, that's all I'm caring about. It's like, if I don't kill 5 people off the start of the game, it's not a fun game to me. Yeah. And so I've been looking for those spots, and I'm lucky to find a spot where 5 other people drop. And it's like, or well, I guess 4 other, a team. I have to basically look at the back of the plane, see where other teams are going, and I just follow them down, and I land like a building over next to them. But because I can't find the hot drops, they're hiding.
Well, you usually sticking close to the flight plan is good enough. But also, if you want to like a cluster heck of a hot drop, then castle and villa are almost always the place to go. Wineries, well, usually there's a team on it as well. Take those notes. Yeah. But honestly, just any city on the flight plan is good enough. So taking some questions, however, from chat. Thadamus, any of you guys been rooftop jumping in Vikendi yet?
Yes. Assassin's Creed Point 2. Like, I 100%. I was playing with one of my teammates last night, and he was literally like, it was mid-game, we had nothing else to do, and we were looking through cities trying to find people. He's like, I'm just out here playing Assassin's Creed, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. It's fun. It definitely is.
I killed someone that was doing that the other day. They were just jumping around. I was like creeping. I saw him jump between buildings. I was like, I shook him down in between the jump from one building to another. I felt insane. I felt like an assassin of assassins. It felt so cool. My entire team was dead, so they were just kind of waiting for me to do my thing. I was there for like 5 minutes. But don't worry about that. They were waiting for
You make your teammates watch you when they die? That's so mean.
If it was a hot drop and the hot drop is still going on, then yes, I will do that.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna leave and play it out unless we're in like phase 3.
All right, that's fair.
But yeah, it's really fun and actually is really strong too. So I would highly recommend trying to find the cities where you are allowed to do that. There's a couple of where it's easier than others. Like I don't remember the names. It's been out for a couple of days. But there's one on the southeastern-ish area that's next to a river that's really, really dense. And generally it goes like this. If the city is really, really dense and the buildings are very close together, then rooftops are going to be available. If it's a little bit more spread out, then it's probably going to be less valuable. And you should probably focus more on looting until you find gunshots or hear footsteps and react that way to it. But rooftops, almost always a good way to get the jump on people.
Yeah. I mean, it also offers the best vantage point of the city because, I mean, if you can find the right rooftop, you can literally see so many different choke points that you're going to catch people running to. So, like you said, it's the best way to get the jump on people for sure.
Tanaka TV, any of the big towns are good. Yes, that's not a question. That is correct, Tanaka. What about tracking footprints? Is that a thing in this map?
It is. I've done
and vehicle prints.
And vehicle prints, yeah. I've done it twice now to where I've actively hunted someone via their footsteps. And I haven't done it from vehicles yet, but we like hunted them down, went from compound to compound, and ended up catching up with them after like 5 minutes of hunting. It was probably one of the most satisfying kills I've actually gotten on PUBG.
That actually happened to me the other day where I dropped Denner Park because I hate myself. And then we ended up hearing gunshots off to our north, and it was like, where'd he go? So we found a compound, and we were just like, okay, the gunshots happened here. But, and I was just like, well, I guess he went north because that's the closest compound. But then I was playing with Liam, and he was like, no, I found footsteps. He went west. And I was just like, oh my God. We proceeded to fight in that compound for the next 15 minutes because people kept freaking crashing us. It was actually insane. It was like the best part and the worst part about New Loot. I fought for 10 minutes. We somehow all came out of it alive. About 20 people died there, and I had 7 kills. It was nuts. But it was also kind of dumb. Like, usually you die in situations like that. But yes, you can track footsteps. They disappear after some period of time. Tire tracks happen as well, but it's a little bit less valuable because they're driving a freaking car. What are you gonna do? Just walk after?
Right.
It's not really gonna work.
You can walk backwards to emulate the footsteps looking like you're going forward.
Oh my God.
I was talking to Rob, one of the guys that works here at FirstBlood, the other day, and he's like, I hope that becomes a meta, and then there's gonna be some clip where some guy's like walking backwards, and you're just like scoped in on him, like, what's up, guy? Yeah. You kill him. He's like trying to be all sly, like
misinformation campaign.
Exactly. I can't wait to see that clip. But either way, I do like the footstep addition. I think it's something unique. I haven't noticed too much as far as like. The performance hasn't been the absolute best, but I don't know if that's the footsteps necessarily. I could see it being the case, and so I'm hoping it's just the test servers being test servers, and once they switch it over to live, it won't feel as like FPS heavy or intensive. It hasn't been that bad the past couple days. When Vikendi first came out, I had some pretty bad ping, or not ping, but FPS. It's a lot better
As
now.
of the 10th, it's better. So if you had bad experience on the day 1, then go ahead and hop in day 2. It's amazing right now. It's better than anything else has ever been.
Yeah.
So a little bit more about questions from chat, and two that kind of go hand in hand. Poseidon asks, what changes would you suggest new parachuting? And Thadamus, what are your thoughts about current parachutes and test servers hitting live servers and affecting comp play? So for Poseidon, I don't think that there should really be anything that different. I think it's just a matter of people finding out how to make it work, if there is anything efficient. I think that overall, once people get used to it, it will be better. However, it should not affect live servers until after NPL.
I 100% agree with that. Everything right there. Like, I don't think they need to change much, if anything. I can't think of anything specifically that they should change. I like the new parachutes a lot. It just feels more realistic, which is why I think I'm drawn to PUBG so much, just because of the realism. And I do not think that it should touch NPL. Like, if they're going to play on, it shouldn't go to live to live servers after all the NPL stuff is done.
It probably will though. Like I can easily see this just showing up on live servers at some point.
Yeah,
To deal with this. And that's gonna suck.
Well, the important thing is the NPL quals. As far as the qualifiers, like if it's at live servers for the LAN event, that's still plenty of time to practice. And if that's the case, we like pro players know ahead of time that this is what you're gonna have to practice.
Yeah.
But like if they would have dropped it last night to live servers,
that would be unfortunate.
That would have been so unfortunate because NPL quals start today, and no one would have had time to like fully practice and optimize the shoot. And I think the wave shooting and getting down quickly is like extremely important and makes or break a game sometimes. And so I don't think it should hit NPL quals. I really, really hope they take that into consideration when they do decide to push it to live servers.
So more specifically on long jumps about parachute settings. Once again, I think it's just something people need to figure out. I haven't tried a long shoot. Like I haven't tried to pop my shoot early yet. I usually want to take at least a small fight early whenever I drop in Vikendi, just because it's fun. There's not much else to do in the early game, even if it's a couple of fights.
I have done the long shoot.
How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels roughly the same. I glided right about the same as like 2.5 kilometers.
Okay.
So it was.
I think the limit was 2.3 for a long drop.
Yeah, it was roughly the same.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I basically was just wanting to see how far we could stretch with the new shoots, and it didn't feel any different. It looked a little bit different, but overall it was about the same.
Seal versus Charity duo bounty hunt. We'll see what we do about that.
Oh, that'd be fun, guys.
Tanaka,
I'm down. I'm saying it right now on stream. I'm down.
yeah. Well, I'll take some lunch money from Charity. It'll be, as they say, charity for me. Let's go. Let's go.
Did someone say charity?
Yeah. Someone say charity. Tanaka, I feel like duo comp games will be amazing on this map. Do you think that Vikendi could lead to a new comp setting for duos?
I could see it. So I like Sandhawk for duos a whole lot, but it does feel a little bit clustered at time, and the third parties happen too often. And I think the 6x6 would be a happy medium because on, I mean, it kind of feels the same on Erangel. It could be a little clustered because you go from having 16 teams, so 16 positions being taken up unless teams are doing 2-2 splits, etc. But overall, with duos, you're looking at like 40 teams, or
it's usually 80 players.
Yeah, or something of the sort. I mean, even 30 players. You're literally almost doubling the amount of teams.
Okay, so duo for Erangel is usually 80 players. Comp is usually 64. But with the map size being decreased, Vikendi duos could easily be 64 players.
Yeah.
So we could easily have events that are like squads on Erangel and Miramar, and then duos on Vikendi with the same player base. Like from a logistical tournament standpoint, that would be so easy to do.
Be interesting too. Kind of break it down. And you're saying like the same tournament on different maps.
Yeah, it could be like that. Because I don't think that 64 player squad events would work that well for Vikendi. It might do that. I'm not sure. We haven't really looked at circle settings at all. But I think that if we're like just looking for like a plug and play sort of thing, duos could easily work. I think it's a really good idea, Tanaka.
Like you could have four maps, and Miramar Erangel have the squads portion, Vikendi and Sandhawk have the duos portion, and you have. I mean, you just break the teams down as it goes. I think that'd be really interesting, especially from a player's perspective. Like I would love to play in that.
Yeah,
would be a blast. But I mean, it also adds like, I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I always like seeing new maps and new rules, systems explored. However, there are tons of more houses you to cover. Yep. I agree with that. I was actually going to bring that up because there's so much more cover and so much more playable terrain, and the sightlines are decreased. So in squads, it is really important to have like the like wide sightlines if you have a full squad, and then sort of take like less viable and less like. In squads, you want to have a very, very large area of control. But in duos and as well in solos, that area of control will simply decrease because you have less players to watch all these different angles. In Vikendi, partially due to the map size, but also due to how much cover there are very, very few places that have these that have this wide area of control. So I think that in Tanaka, you guys might be onto something. I think that this actually, because of those aspects, might be a really, really good competitive duos format. I think you're actually onto something there.
Yeah, I would like to just see more duos events in general. Like
Well, of course you do.
Yeah.
Mr. 20,000 French champion right here for the duos event.
But either way, I want to see more solos events too, and just the fact that like it's PUBG's comp scene is geared heavily towards squads at the moment, very heavily, and it kind of makes it harder for some of these newer players to like emerge into the scene.
You need
because
3 other players.
yeah, exactly. And I think if you did solo events and more duo events, it'd kind of give those people that aren't already in a chance to really showcase their skills. Because I think just for the good of the game and PUBG's comp scene in general, we need more chances for new players to emerge. And yeah, I mean, you got to grow that pool of players that they have a chance to play in comp. And so I think duos on Vikendi would be amazing.
Looking forward to it. I can't wait to play more than squads.
I know, right?
It's gonna be awesome.
I solo drop squads anyways.
Me
but
too.
I would love to see how the solos play out, or even duos. And yeah, I just anything more that they want to add to Vikendi, I'll take.
Yeah, me too. That's what's on this map. I love this map. I think it's my favorite map. It's my favorite experience to date.
Yeah.
As soon as they,
It's like a new game.
Yep, it's like a new game. As soon as they sort of tweak a little bit of the loot
Fine-tune.
and or circle settings, I'll be back to being as. I'll be back to being a happy camper, Charity.
There we go. I like it. I was gonna say it, but you beat me to it.
Beat you to it. All right. Well, I think that is it for us today at the patch notes breakdown. If you missed it, then the VOD will be up, and I believe we're also planning on doing a sort of like a shortened YouTube version. We'll get back to you guys on whether or not we're doing that. But either way, VOD's available for you guys, and also our DMs are open. Just ask us questions if you got any questions. I'll play some games, you guys.
I was about to say, hit me up. I'll be down to play some Vikendi games.
Hell yeah. All right, well, that's been it from us. Have a nice night, you guys, and I'll see you in Vikendi later.
Yep.